let's talk about the infrastructure of AI. Of course, we know it relies particularly on data centers and the energy that needs to be reliable and how to save some energy. There's this key data that said in 2024, Dublin data centers consumed approximately 22% of the total electricity of the country. So this is an issue that we need to tackle. And surprisingly, one of the champions that helps tackle this is a 150-year-old French company, Legrand. So Benoît Coquart, CEO of Legrand. Can you explain exactly the kind of products and services that you provide around data centers?
Hello, thank you for inviting me. Yeah, Legrand is a 150-year-old company indeed, but we've not been in this business for so long. We were a traditional building company, and we entered about 10 years ago into the data center space. And data center, it's for us today about 2.5 billion euros of sales, so about 25% of our sales. And we provide technology for either the gray space, so everything that help feeding the data center with energy, or the white space where the servers are located.
So just to try to flesh out the kind of products and services you provide, a recent acquisition you made is an American company that provides load banks for data centers. So what is that exactly?
Well, actually, a word on a US position, we do more than 60% of our sales in data centers in the US. So that's obviously the place to be. That's where the technologies are coming from. So Aftron is a specialist of load bank. A load bank is used to test the electrical installation before putting on the data center. So you don't want, when you start a data center, you don't want something to go wrong, so you have to test every single piece of equipment as well as the whole electrical installation between putting the data center on. But beyond load banks, we have tens and tens of different solutions, from the transformers to the rack and the cabinet.
Because it is an ongoing controversy, the amount of energy that data centers, and water as well, but you focus on the energy front. So how can this be tackled efficiently?
Well, there's one number I can share, which is amazing. Last year, the 5,000 data centers worldwide consumed something like 420 terawatt hours of energy. By 2030, this consumption should be 1,000 terawatt hours of energy. And this is a sort of middle case. If you put together the plans released by NVIDIA, as far as selling its GPUs or chips is concerned, this 1,000 could be as high as 2,500. So, of course, it's a concern. It's a concern because we'll need to have enough power supply, but it is also a concern because there is more and more people wondering whether the data center feeding with energy would be made at the expense of people. So we have to bring solutions so that data centers consume less energy and are more accepted by communities.
And in terms of data centers, you were just saying a big part of the business is in the US because 50% of all data centers are in the US. Europe, where EMEA is just around 25%. How do you see this going forward? Is Europe going to catch up in any way?
Well, there are two topics. Of course, we will love Europe to grow faster, and it will come because it has become a sovereignty issue. So every single country wants to have its own network of data centers. But whether in Europe, in the US, in China, or elsewhere, the energy dilemma remains. And I think it must be a common target of the whole industry to reduce what we call the power usage, to improve the power usage effectiveness, so to make sure that data centers are more and more efficient when it comes actually not only to energy, but also when it comes to water consumption or the use of contracting capabilities. And this is a topic which is shared on both sides of the Atlantic.
And if we zoom in again and look at France, because a key question for data centers is that the energy needs to be reliable and cheap. France has that in many ways.
Well, we have cheap energy, reliable energy, carbon-free energy with the energy mix we have. We have available space. Then we have a couple of issues. The permitting, but I understand that it has improved a lot. And also the concentration of data centers. Today in France, the data centers are somehow concentrated either in Paris or in Marseille. And the tension on the grid could happen on those two areas. So but again, there's no fundamental reason why the data center market in France shouldn't develop fast as it will develop in Germany, in Spain, in a number of countries.
And you mentioned to me as well that, ironically, in a way, Europe's disindustrialization that we've seen in the past few years can actually now be an opportunity because there are some industrial sites that are quite easy to plug in.
Well, actually, funny enough, a couple of weeks back, I was in Spain, but the same could occur in France or elsewhere in Europe. And a data center collocator explained me that they built a data center at the very same place where there was, or there used to be, a factory. Because you already have the data input, you already have the transformer, you have the space. So yes, it could be an alternative to decentralization. The one issue, though, is that data centers today are creating less jobs than a factory. I'm sure that the people here know that much better than I do, but in a big data center, you would typically have 40, 50 people. In a medium-sized factory, you would have 300 or 400 people. That's why the social acceptance of data center is absolutely critical. Since it creates less job than a factory, we have to make sure that it is efficient enough so that it is well accepted by the communities.
Yeah. So how do we address this pushback to a certain extent from a social point of view?
I have good news for you, is that there are a number of technological solutions that help improving the so-called PUE, power usage effectiveness. According to the data I have, the average PUE worldwide is 1.5 or 1.6. So if you want to power 1 megawatt of IT equipment, you need to input 1.5 or 1.6 megawatt of electricity. Because you have losses, because you have cooling, because the good thing is that the best PUE ever reached is, I think, 1.03. So, and if you cut a PUE from 1.6 to, let's say, 1.1 or 1.2, it's a 25% cut in the energy bill. And there, the technology can help. It's about more efficient power train. It's about direct current. It's about more efficient cooling with maybe a two-phase direct-to-chip. It's about a smarter use of data. It's about the virtualization of servers. So you have plenty of technologies that are today available to help the data center specialists to cut their energy bill and to make the data center more acceptable by the communities.
And while Europe, as we were just discussing on data centers, is a little bit behind on some things around AI, you see when it comes to infrastructure-related products, a lot of European companies and champions like Legrand actually have an edge. So there is something to build on that front for Europe. That a lot of companies like Legrand, when it comes to the infrastructure-related products, there's actually an edge there for a lot of European companies. There is something to build on when it comes to that front.
Well, as far as the infrastructure-related technologies, I sometimes use the analogy of the rush to gold, which happened in the US more than a century ago. Everybody was looking at gold. But those who made a successful business model were those actually selling everything that helped the gold diggers to find gold. Well, it's a bit the same for data centers. You have, of course, the big guys training models, developing models, but in Europe, you have a lot of tech companies, including Legrand, but not only Legrand, that are able to provide solutions to help data centers to be more efficient and more, let's say, future-proofed.
So you have said that you will spend around 5 billion euros throughout to 2030 to make acquisitions. So what are you looking for to add to your portfolio in terms of that?
We have many good ideas. I cannot, of course, disclose the full list of opportunity that we have, but if I look at the past 7 years, we have made close to 30 acquisitions in data centers, everywhere. I mean, in US, in Chile, in India, in Germany, in China, in many countries. So there are a lot of opportunities, and the objective is not to grow for the sake of growing, it's to grow so that we can provide a better service to our customers, collocators, hyperscalers, installers, contractors, and a fuller basket of solutions. So part of those 5 billion euros is going to be dedicated to acquiring data center companies, but of course, the list is one of the best kept secret.
We're in the face of the challenges that are brought on by the infrastructure of AI. You say sometimes there is a bit of a risk of over-regulation, especially a European tendency to go on that front. We heard the warning from Christine Lagarde, the president of the ECB, just yesterday, saying Europe needs to be careful on that front, otherwise we're going to lose the race.
I think we shouldn't do the same mistake as the automotive industry. The automotive industry in Europe said we should cut the CO2 emissions emitted by the cars, and for that, you guys have to switch to electrical vehicles. I think the right approach for Europe is actually the current code of conduct approach is to set targets. For example, not a single new data center should be built with a PUE in excess of, 1.2, 1.3, or consuming more than 0.5 liters per megawatt hours of water. And then let industry people to choose a technology. We have a huge creativity from the collocators, from the contractors, from the hyperscalers, from the companies such as Legrand. Trust us, we will find the right technologies to meet those objectives.
Legrand has very much been part of the AI trade on the stock market. Your stock is up 35% year to date. At some point, it was up 60% just this year. There are fears of an AI bubble and the sort of FOMO of overinvestment in AI infrastructure. Everybody wants a slice of it. Do you share these concerns?
Well, if you want my feeling, we have just scratched the surface of what AI can bring. Today, in 90% of the cases, AI is used as a super search engine. It will do a lot more than that. It will do coding documentation. It will do autonomous vehicles. It will do many things, and we are today using AI for 1% of its capabilities. And it's not only about AI. Take the cloud, for example. 85% of the investments are still made on premises, i.e., IT has not yet moved to the cloud. So whether AI, cloudification of the world, digitalization of everything, health system, gaming, there will be huge requirements for data centers. So I don't see any bubble, and I think we are about to witness another wave of investment in the years to come.
Benoît Coquart, CEO of Legrand, thank you very much for your insight.
Thank you very much. Thank you.